Hey, listen, this is DuWayne Reed here, and I want to welcome you to a brand new season of Making Cocktails with DuWayne Reed. This is going to be some episodes where we are going to get together and I'm going to discuss with you tools and liquids and things that I use to mix up some of my favorite cocktails, some simple cocktails, nothing fancy. Now, what I want to start off with here right now is some tools that I like to use when I'm mixing up my cocktails. Now, I recommend that you have some tools that you have available to you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be these. Anything around the house generally will work, but I like having these special tools because I think they're pretty. And I think they help me do a better job, and they help me with my presentation whenever I got some friends over and I'm making them up some cocktails. So let's get going with no delay. So first off, I think something that's really important to have is a way to mix up drinks. Now, I like using shakers and I like using strainers. So you put these things together here and you shake up the stuff, and then you've got a tool like this that you put over here. So you pour out your liquids, and it leaves behind any fruits or ices that you don't want to go into your drink. Now, there's this style of shaker cup, and then there's a style that's just like this. Now, this is a shaker cup. It doesn't hold as much liquid, but it does a great job. And it's got its own built-in strainer. You just pop this top off right here, put your ice and beverages in here and fruits or whatever you're going to have in here, and then you just put this on here, and you just shake it on up, and then you can pour it right on off. And it comes with this little cup on it that you need to know what the measurements are, but you can use it to measure out liquids for consistency. Now, speaking of measuring and consistency, I think that you should always manage and maintain specific ingredients and measurements for your drink so that they're always consistent. If you find out something that you like and it's good and you know the measurements, then you can use those every time and you can be consistent, and your drinks will always taste the way you want them to taste. The only thing that's going to make it change is if you change the ingredients. So, we got a couple little jiggers here and measuring things here. They're 2 ounces, 1 ounce, ounce and a half, another 1 ounce. But be able to have measuring containers that are graduated, and you know the amounts of fluid that you're putting in them, so that, again, you can just make some consistent drinks. Another thing you might need is a way to stir your drinks when they don't need to be shaken, and a way to muddle. Muddle is when you mush things up and when you mix things in and crush things. And there's different tools for this, but this is what I like. It's an all-in-one spoon for stirring, and it's got a flat area that I use for muddling things up and smushing things in a glass to mix it all together. Now, to me, these are the most basic of the tools that I use, and some of the other things you may need, of course, are a knife for when you need to cut things up. When you want to cut up an orange or cut up a lime or cut up a lemon or cut up whatever, cut up a pineapple or some papaya, you got a way to do that. And then some other tools that you may or may not need for mixing up a cocktail. Is a way to open a beer bottle, and a way to open up some wine or some port or some sherry or whatever that you're going to have going in your drink right there. Now, again, these are just some basic tools, and you can use anything laying around your house to accomplish the same job. You can use a coffee mug with a lid on it for a shaker, and you can strain it over a strainer if you want to. It just doesn't matter. Again, my thoughts are the most important thing is to have a way to measure it out and be consistent with what you're making. Consistency is the key. Now, next, we're going to move on to some mixers that I like to have available to me so I can make my favorite drinks. So we'll be right back. All right, now as you can see, I have an assortment of beverage-containing bottles that I like to try to keep on hand for making some of my favoriteest cocktails whenever I'm cocktailing. And as you can see over here, we got some things like some grenadine syrup if you want some of that. Fresh is always best. So if you can get fresh limes and lemons and oranges, that's the best thing. But in a pinch, I use this lime juice, this Nelly and Joe's Key West lime juice. I think it does a really good job. And of course, just some lemon juice, some lemon extract. Now, I also try my best to keep the real stuff on hand because it makes the best superior beverage. Now, also, you need to have some bitters on hand. That's very good. These are both orange bitters made from spices and some alcohol and a lot of citrusiness to them. Preferred is the Angostura bitters right there. That's what I use most of the time. And here's some Reagans that I got. Peychaud's got some bitters that, it's standard if you want to be making a Sazerac, the New Orleans style. And that's what you need for there. But another thing right here is your control. I like having this. You can make so many different drinks with your control, and you should keep some on hand if you're going to be making cocktails. It's probably one of the primary side ingredients that I use when I'm making my cocktails. Now, you're also going to need some sweet vermouth and some dry vermouth. Now, I like using these for different drinks. Of course, if you want a martini or if you want a Manhattan, you're going to want to have these on hand for those drinks right there. Another thing I think is nice to have on hand is some cognac or some brandy. There are several drinks that use some brandy in them, and having some good cognac or some good brandy on hand helps make that drink even that much more special. Of course, we got some Campari here. This is another spicy, very bittery drink that does really well in a lot of cocktails, and it can really set them apart and just above and beyond. And you should try to have some Campari on hand. I do. Now, of course, we got your garnishes, with orange and things of that nature, and some beverages call for a cherry. Now, you can always go to the store and get you some maraschino cherries, and they'll do just fine. But if you really want to make your drink special, there we go. We got these Luxardos. They're the original, and they're just super dark and chewy and good and delicious, and they add an extra special flavor to any cocktail that you want to make up. Now, of course, depending on the cocktail, you're going to need a different side beverage to go mix it with. Now, I don't like to have mixes on hand. I don't like a Bloody Mary mix. I don't like a margarita mix. I don't like a Tom Collins mix on hand. Nothing. I like to find out what the ingredients are in that drink. I like to put them together, and I like to make it myself so that I can adjust the side ingredients as I want to make my whiskey or alcohol shine through and my drink just be over the top extraordinary. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and it doesn't take a whole lot of ingredients to do all of this. Most of the drinks that I like to make, the cocktails that I like to make, have 3, maybe 4 ingredients, and that makes them super duper special and super duper delicious. And all you have to do is slightly adjust one ingredient or the other ingredient, and you can wind up with a really special beverage that you can enjoy yourself, or maybe have some friends over and share it with them. Now, that is the beginning of what we're going to be doing here. So this is what I say. This is what I need. This is what I had. This is what DuWayne says. Get yourself some good tools to make some cocktails. Get you some good side beverages that you use for mixers to go in your whiskey or your alcohol or whatever it is to make that drink that you want to make, and read and study and do your research. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get out there and make whatever you want to make. I highly recommend it, and you should just do it because it's the right way. If you like a good cocktail, then step up and make it right. Okay? That's all for right now. DuWayne Reed, I'm out.
Reed Brothers.